website that leaked the list of a bunch of members of a very disturbing cult that operates on the island of Hawaii, known as the Science of Identity Foundation. It is a yoga, Hindu, Buddhist mixture cult. There's a lot of things going on there with some Westernism mixed in there. Very, very weird. The Science Identity Foundation has managed to stay pretty much out of the limelight for the most part, but if you are a native Hawaiian, you for sure know how to spot a member because they just have that vibe. The founder's name is Chris Butler, and he started the cult in the 1970s. However, he adopted the name Jagat Guru Siddhaswarupananda. I'm not kidding. He really hasn't been seen by anyone outside of his cult followers in decades. Indeed, most to nearly all the material online about him depicts him in this weird 1980s, 1990s setting, and most of the content posted across the cult's platforms, which have a pretty sizable following, are merely clips from teachings he gave in the last millennium. The whole thing is super bizarre and uncanny, really. And two of my favorite details is that Chris Butler believes he is the reincarnated spirit of previous Chris Butlers, so he's actually around 5,000 years old. And two is that he wrapped an entire room of his compound, emphasize compound, in aluminum foil in order to keep germs out. And it's an eyesore, neighbors say. But most importantly, and why I bring this whole thing up in Chris Butler, is because his cult has a member who did the electric work for David Flintstone's suspicious farm and possible CP manufacturing facility. That seems like a very weird connection that we can't ignore. Of all people, you choose to wait weeks, maybe even months, to switch contractors to a known cult member. There is something that doesn't sit right about that with me. But what else is important to know is that Chris Butler and his cult have a lust for political power. See where this might be going? I didn't either. Keeping in mind political power and the believed activities on this distillery, Chris's lust for power was very well known, and for a long time he tried getting someone in the cult into politics. And lo and behold, he actually had succeeded with just that. His candidate of choice is none other than Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat politician from Hawaii. She became famous for some of her more based takes and going on shows like Joe Rogan in the late 2010s and early 2020s. And she seemed like a fairly moderate politician for our day and age. We are all aware that she lost her presidential election bid, and honestly, I forgot she had existed. Until making this video, when I realized the same cult who did work for the island distillery is the same cult that Tulsi Gabbard, her husband, and her dad were high-ranking members of. Tulsi denies this connection and having ever been a member of the cult, and even denies having participated in their activities, but other members have since come out and said undoubtedly that she was. And there's also a picture of Tulsi Gabbard at a cult retreat paying homage to an altar or shrine for Chris Butler, the cult's founder and leader, whom the cult worships as essentially God. So her whole denying of being involved in it is just a lie. But what isn't a lie is that this cult has connections to Cheesy Bay and political intrigue. They might seem distant, but I think we're going to start closing the gap more and more. This cult has also infiltrated the highest offices of American politics and power. Sound familiar? Tulsi Gabbard is literally in the same room as the president on a frequent basis and is part of his cabinet. The president being BB Net. My bad. Continuing, her position is director of the National Intelligence Council, the Homeland Security Council, and really anything to do with intelligence programs in the US. This includes spying, blackmailing, double emphasize blackmailing, and black budget operations. Now, where can I think of someone with strange connections to child engaged activity? This is starting to sound weirdly familiar, and most strikingly, it means that she is the head of the US intelligence community as a whole. That would mean the CIA, FBI, NSA, DIA, and the other dozen or so agencies that are involved in the intelligence realm. Yes, a cult member, whose members also connect to the Cheesy Bay situation, is now one of the most powerful and well-connected people on Earth, with technology that allows her and her employees to listen into anybody at any time. So Chris Butler's plan definitely succeeded, to say the least, in infiltrating American politics. Also, she literally attended one of the cult's boarding schools. She made a point of promoting Americans buying from non-chain stores, which I firmly agree with, but suggested one in particular named Down to Earth, and Down to Earth is highly speculated to be owned by the cult she grew up in. The cult members worship their leader, like I said, as though he's a deity, and are completely subservient to his will. She even included a blessing in her wedding program for her second wedding from this cult leader, which is on screen now. So no, she can't deny being a part of the cult. And now, do I know what this all means in relation to the cult and its hold on power and the Cheesy Bay situation? No, but I think there's got to be more to it. And it's just such a wild link that I couldn't overlook it. Because at the very least, it does connect Cheesy Bay to the highest tier of American politicians, quite precisely to the president's cabinet and the national intelligence programs. Let that sink in. So coming back down,